Good morning, middle school. Right. Thank you again for a great job yesterday. It was our first middle school family-style lunch in 2 years, and you all followed the directions and kept up with the expectations, and we all had a wonderful time. So thank you for doing that. Just a quick reminder that when you file into the dining room, make sure that you are in a single file, and whoever is at the door, the teacher will make sure that that happens. So we're going to keep only one of the doors open, so you know that you can only go in a single file. All right? On Thursday, this afternoon, we will have our planning meeting with our student leaders to plan for our, this is our like a last planning session for the Innovation Inspiration Week, and that is happening next week. So that'll be Tuesday to Friday of next week, and as you know, the following week is the field trips week. And then this Thursday, we will be with our buddies, grade level buddies, and be engaged in Chalk the Walk, and that'll happen from 2:30 to 3. And then you'll go back to your advisory and you get dismissed from there. And then there is also an extension of that activity from 3:30 to 4:30. So you're welcome to stay for that as well. And there's going to be water ice and other treats during that time. Right? Any other announcements, teachers? Great. Right. This morning it is my joy to introduce our 8th grade chapel speaker, Lauren Ayers. Lauren, as her teachers say, has some amazing talents and skills. She is a great team player. She is a wonderful collaborator with her classmates. She's great to talk to. I mean, when you talk to her, you can see her heart come out, and she is really engaged in those conversations. She's a good conversationalist. And she's always willing to share her opinions. She is resilient, hardworking, determined, and you're going to see some of those things come out in her chapel speech this morning. She is patient and helpful. She is reflective. One of the things that I absolutely admire about Lauren is you can often see her holding the door for the younger students. And I've also seen her holding a little kid by the hand and walking them to their class. And so she is a real, like, the big sister that we all aspire to be for our students. So this morning, please join me in welcoming Lauren to the stage. And as you can see, Lauren had a little accident last week, but she's determined to do her chapel today. And so let's put our hands together for Lauren Ayers.
Thank you, Mr. Raj, for that warm introduction. My name is Lauren Ayers, and welcome students, teachers, and parents to my chapel on what dance has taught me over the years. I'd like to start by talking about my dance career. I've been dancing since I was 18 months old, but I didn't actually start working until I joined my current studio, Balance Dance Center, in 2014 when I was 6 years old. That makes this my 8th year dancing there. I know that when most people think about dance, they instantly think ballet or competition, but in reality, there are multiple types of dance, like jazz, hip-hop, and lyrical. Some studios don't even compete. They have companies like my studio. My studio has 3 companies and a hip-hop performing group. This consists of company for adults, junior company for high schoolers, and training company for middle schoolers. I'm in training company because I'm too young for company and junior company. This allows me to perform outside of the end of the year recital. I'm at my studio 5 days a week for ballet, jazz, lyrical, hip-hop, and training company classes. Now for my chapel topic on what dance has taught me over the years. There are 5 main lessons that I want to talk about. The first lesson is resilience. The second lesson is time management. The third lesson is make every moment count. The fourth lesson is that no one is perfect. And the last lesson is rule your mind or it will rule you. The first lesson, resilience. The Google definition of resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. But my definition of resilience is to keep trying and push through even when you feel like giving up. An example of when I had to be resilient in dance was when I was learning to do a fish roll last year for my recital. As some of the 8th grade girls may remember, I spent a week and a half of snack and lunch breaks learning to do this step. For those of you who don't know what a fish roll is, it is a backwards roll with both legs straight and separated in a split. The reason that I spent so much time learning this step was because if I didn't, I would get taken out of that section of the dance, and I didn't want that. So I kept trying even when I wanted to give up. Another example of when I had to be resilient was when I started geometry with Mr. Oz last fall. Now, I'm not trying to scare the rising 8th graders, but geometry is really hard in my opinion. I know some of the people in my class may disagree while others agree, but personally it was a struggle. I had to be resilient and keep trying and studying, so the lesson that I learned through dance allowed me to also use in school. The second lesson is time management. An example of having to manage my time is in shows when I have quick changes. For those who do theater or dance, know what it's like having to run off stage and jump out of one costume and into another. If I don't use the time off stage I have wisely, I could end up not making it on stage in time, which would cause a lot of issues. Luckily, this has never happened, and I always finish in time. As I said earlier, I take classes 5 out of 7 days of the week, and some days for multiple hours. So that causes me to stay up late doing homework, which may sound like I'm not managing my time, but I actually am. For example, if I have math homework, language arts homework, and a science test, I'll try to study for science in advance and do my math homework in study hall, or even take it with me to dance. I also use the time I will do my language arts homework at home, and I also use the time I have between getting home from school and leaving for dance. While I may still not be the best at managing my time, I do try my best to get it all done. The third lesson is to make every moment count. This to me means that you should do everything to the fullest of your ability. An example of this is getting an injury in your activity. This year, my studio has had 4 injuries, 1 stress fracture in the ankle, a stress fracture in the back, an actual fracture in the back, and my knee injury. The reason I told you this is because 2 of the girls I just talked about, actually the ones with back fractures, did duet before they got their injuries. The duet was beautiful. They did so well, but then got hurt. This is important because if they hadn't done such a great job in that dance, then their possible last dance of the year would have not been to the best of their capabilities. Another example of making every moment count is in school. You need to make sure that your middle school years are the best that they can be, because before you know it, you'll be going to high school and you're going to be wishing that you took advantage of the opportunity that you had. The fourth lesson is no one is perfect. An example of having to learn this lesson was when I first started at my current studio. For those who don't know this, when you first start ballet, you start facing the bar. And as you advance, you turn to the side. Well, I ended up being the last person in my class to turn to the side. I also wore a tiara because I would always stare at my feet the whole time. So while everyone was advancing, I was standing there with a tiara facing the bar instead of the side. When I noticed that everyone else had advanced and I didn't, I started to work harder, which caused me to be more serious. Even though I wasn't perfect at dancing, I felt that I had to be, and would often compare myself to the other girls in my class. Another example of when I had to learn this lesson was in school. Last year, we did the realistic object drawing in art. I chose to draw 2 hair clips. I ended up having to work on the project at home after I had changed my object twice. It was on the 3rd time of drawing the hair clips. When I finally finished it, I hated it and was about to erase, but then I realized that it was never going to get perfect and that no one's was going to be perfect. I ended up getting a 94 on that project, so it had to have been somewhat good. The 5th and final lesson is to rule your mind or it will rule you. This means that you shouldn't change your mind because of another person and don't doubt yourself. An example of this is when I was younger and we would practice our recital dance. I would follow everyone by looking in the mirror, but when I got on stage, I didn't have the mirror in front of me. So I would look at the person next to me. This caused all the pictures to be of me looking to the left or right, following the person next to me. Another example would be in school. Maybe you're presenting a project and the people before you had more slides than you, or talked about something that you didn't include. You shouldn't change your project or whatever you're presenting because the people before you may have done it wrong. I'd like to end my chapel with a quote. "Failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently," by Henry Ford. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.